Good evening, Pokemon fans and Draft League players alike. This is Blazeman, and today I'm bringing you my draft recap for the seventh season of a league I've not been in since I first started this. It's the first time I draft league career, so it's a league I hold near and dear to me. It is the UCA, or the Ultimate Crowning Achievement, I believe is what it's still called these days. But yeah, so I've been a member since season 2, and it's now on its seventh season, which is not too bad. So yeah, let's jump into the draft. So this draft was a standard sort of national dex draft, but they allow semi-Ubers. They've got a couple of Ubers. Blaziken, Mega Blaziken, Magearna, Metagross. What else have they got? Got Necrozma, Dawnwings, uh, Naganadel, things of that nature. And yes, so yeah, we'll jump into the draft quickly for my team here, the Shanghai Dragonites. We are using the Shanghai Dragonites for this draft. Okay, so first pick gets to me. I was originally 10th, and then I think I went to 8th. I think it was. Yes, I was originally 10th, and then I went to 5th, as you can see here. These are the rules. Yeah, 120 points, 10 to 11 Mons, and then we get a budget of 25 points, which we could spend on 2 Terra captains. So no points, no Mons over 20 points could be drafted. So that means, thankfully, Mons like Blaziken, Gem Power Main, can't Terra, and then there's Mons like Iron Valley, Dragapult can't Terra, Basculegion can't Terra. Someone must have really fucked someone up with a Basculegion. Obviously, Mons like Palafin and Baxcalibur can't Terra as well. But yeah, so let's get into the draft. So my first pick, the 6th pick, was Magearna, one of the, arguably, if not one of the best Mons, arguably the best one in the format. This one is ridiculously broken. It's such a great Uber. Something that's new to me, but I mean, you just look at these stats, there was just absolutely nothing wrong with this one. It's a great combination, offensive type and variant steel. It's a great win con. It's a great defensive win con as well. It gets a lot of setup. It gets Calm Mind. It gets Iron Defense. Yeah, it gets stored power. A lot of sets. It gets obviously gets a great coverage, physical and special, Aura Sphere. Dazzling Game, Draining Kiss, and get Encore, which is not as useful. Yeah, and then you get Shadow Ball, Floor Cannon as well, ever so powerful Floor Cannon. And yeah, Thunderbolt, Tri Attack, things like that, Volt Switch as well for pivoting. This is one I've just always wanted to use. It just looks cool and it's just a broken Pokemon. So the pick comes back around to me. And I'm thinking, how can I draft around Magearna? So obviously, bulky fire types are a big problem for Magearna, and some bulky steel types. So I thought, let's grab an offensive water type, shall we? And then I saw that there's this Pokemon that was able to Terra in 17 points, which I thought was quite good for the price, and that was Manaphy. So, as we all know, Manaphy is now on steroids this generation because not only does it have access to Terra again, also gets Take Heart, which is basically Calm Mind plus Refresh, which makes Manaphy even more broken. And this is also unlimited free Terra, so we can Terra into whatever type we choose. So, at 17 points, Terra Manaphy sounds like a disgusting combination. But yeah, so it gets coverage, it gets Dazzling Gleam, gets Energy Ball, gets Flip Turn if it needs to, gets U-Turn, gets Ice Beam, Acid Armor if I want to pull off some shenanigans of stored power, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I guess good knock off and utility. U-Turn gets good utility with that. So these two are going to pair stupidly well together, actually forming momentum as well with U-Turn and Volt Switch / Flip Turn, but also just a great pairing as well. And Terra on this thing is going to be disgusting, it's going to be unstoppable. So, with my next pick, I'm thinking I could do with a nice elite speed tier for these. So obviously, McGinnis 65 and Manaphy's 100. So, want something. Let's take some water there. Want something that's quite fast, and obviously, Ubers, there are a lot of fast Pokemon. So, I'm surprised this Mon was still here, but we managed to grab round 3 Taunty, which is not something you see often. I mean, we all know this Mon, the flying type, which is a semi-dark and bug type due to wannabe low kicks, due to the fact that it gets U-turn and knockoff. It's great utility Pokemon with Hurricane. Got Defog back as well in this, and obviously one of the most broken abilities in the generation, or in Pokemon of all time. So in Regenerator, he gets set up with Nasty Plot, gets Heat Wave, gets Focus Blast. You know the deal. It's a good one. It gets a lot of coverage. You can even run bulk upsets if you're a bit mental with acrobatics. If the situation arises. So you see these mons here. So these are a very strong pick for the first three. Obviously, we've got a slight electric weakness forming here, but there's a lot of potential in these three mons, and there's something else I'm going to show towards the end of the draft. A little spoiler of how I can build around these mons even more capably, and make all three of them even more broken. So as the draft comes back around, I originally drafted Healer List. Because it's a good mon. It gives me a water absorb. Gives me a nice speed tier 109. Gives me a good electric type, good normal type. Gives me a lot of good abilities. But I decided after closer looking at the draft board that wasn't really what I was looking for. So I dropped Healer List in the grace period, and I drafted Thunderous Theron, which is just such a phenomenal Pokemon. Because it gives me Volt Absorb. Obviously, the electric weakness that Manaphy and Torn share is now covered by Thunderous. And Manaphy and Magearna can cover the ice weakness that these two share. Obviously, we all know what Torn does. Gets agility, gets nasty plug, gets bulk up again if you're feeling a bit frisky. Does it get knockoff? It does get knockoff a new turn, so again, more potential utility there. It gets physical coverage, acrobatics, but most of the time you're going to be running that special set. And it gets discharge, flash cannon. We all know what it does. It's sludge bomb, sludge wave. So there, these four are looking strong. I've got quite specially offensive, I must say. A lot of these mons, all of them can run physical, but a lot of them are predominantly specially based. So I wanted to get something to help Thunderous with the ice, with the electric weakness that slight electric weakness got going here, and I also wanted to get a mon that can break bulky steel types, break bulky fire types to help Manaphy, and break bulky rock types as well to help Magearna. And I wanted to get a solid dark type. So my boy Crocodile was here in 14 points. Now this mon I love. I love this mon. It's an absolutely amazing Pokemon. As we all know, it gets Earthquake, gets Stealth Rock, gets Knockoff, gets Skitch Smack as well. I didn't know that. That's cool. And it gets Darker Slayer back. Thank God for that, because that was a pain in the ass having no Dark Slayer. And obviously it gets, this mon is an amazing Pokemon. It can be bulky, offensive with Intimidate. It can be a nice Moxie Sweeper with a Scarf. I don't want to give away too much about it, but you can even run Dragon Tail, and Foul Play is very good as well. So that's the fifth pick there, just rounding out really nicely. Now, I don't obviously only have one weakness in Magearna to ground, but obviously my two. I wanted to get another immunity to help these two with the ground types that isn't weak to ice or rock. So I wanted a nice sort of middling speed tier. I've currently got Taunty, Thunderous, good speed tiers. I've got nothing below. Got quite a big gap between Crocodile and Magearna, so I looked at Mesprit as a great bulky psychic type, great offensive mon, great utility mon. 100 base, it's got great stats all around, 105 in everything apart from HP and speed. We know what it does. It's a great mod. It gives me a solid utility, solid bulky pivot, and offensive mon if need be. Get great moves such as Healing Wish, gets not Healing Wish, sorry, and then it doesn't get Memento, no. Stealth Rock, obviously it gets U-turn, gets T-Wave. Yeah, it gives a lot of great momentum. Yeah, very solid offensive Pokemon for sure, and a very nice glue to the team as well, giving me a good Levitate mon that's not going to die to a hit, because a couple of Levitate mons are quite frail. I didn't really want to get a Rotom form because they were a little bit harsh on the old budget. So as you can probably see here, I don't currently have any removal apart from Defog, Torn, and Defog Thunderous. So I wanted to get a solid spinner. Obviously, there's about three. Obviously, the great spinners these days are, the Donphan family. But there is a new mon in this generation that's actually got a bit better post DLC, and that is Brambleghast. Yes, I mean, obviously, Brambleghast is a little bit on the frailer side, but it does have a solid 90 base speed stat, and it gets Wind Rider, which makes it immune to certain wind moves such as Hurricane, Air Cutter, I believe, and Tailwind. We've given it attack raise. Obviously, it gets Infiltrate, which is a very good ability as well. But in the DLC, it also got Poltergeist as well. So before it only had Shadow Sneak as its only other coverage in Shadow Ball. And obviously, Shadow Ball off of an 80 base special attack stat is not going to do a lot of damage. So now it gets Shadow Sneak as well to go with its power, which it already had. It gets Strength Sap, which is good because it's fast, so it can get fast recovery. It gets Spikes, obviously. And it gets Rapid Spin, which is what I was drafting it for, a solid spinner. It gives me another good ground resist. It gives me a way to help Crocodile beat the bulky ghost types, bulky psychic types. Obviously, can heal bulky water types to help out Torn to help out Manaphy and Thundy as well. So it was a good physical offensive mod. But yes, so now I decided as the draft was getting on, that a lot of people had more points, so I was deciding that I needed to draft one of my low tier ones, and one of my lower tier ones, just to get secure because I looked at all the other teams, and no one could really snipe the other picks that I was looking to get. So I decided to go with Glimmet, which obviously I admit is obviously not an amazing Pokemon, but for 2 points, it gives me Only, it gives me Toxic Debris, gives me Corrosion, gives me Spikes, gives me Toxic Spikes, and then obviously for a low tier Poison, I would prefer to get my Toxic Spikes up just passively, which this thing does with Toxic Debris, but it's a mini Glamora. Obviously, it gets all the moves Glamora does. The 60 base speed is not bad at all for an LC mon, really, because most LC mons don't have a great speed stat. So, hey, it's going to be a grounded poison type, which will my opponents have to respect the hazard stacking because even a rings focus sash, I can get up. Well, maybe at least one lab hazard +2, or maybe even two if they activate my Toxic Debris. So it will come to a couple of games, and it can throw my opponents have to prep for it. And for a 2.1, it already does its job for that for sure. But yeah, so what's that? Oh shit. Yes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this one, so I decided to draft 10 months here because of my budget. So I'm looking at my team and I'm thinking on the way back, why don't we spice this team up a bit? So what helps out Magearna and Manaphy and Tornadoes? Let's draft Rain, and more specifically, let's draft Politoed, which is going to be obviously going to have Drizzle to activate the Rain, which obviously weakens the fire weakness that Magearna has, makes Manaphy stupidly strong and helps Torn with landing those pesky hurricanes that can sometimes miss, but obviously hitters don't miss, so we stay out here hitting hurricanes. Obviously, this one is good. It gets Whirlpool. Did it lose Perish Song? It didn't, so it still has Whirlpool, Perish Song trapping. If I want to be that person. And it did get Skullbite, which is good. It gets Ice Beam. Does it get Grass though? No, it doesn't get any Grass coverage, but that's alright. But yeah, it gets good utility moves in. It gets Haze, it gets Encore, it gets Protect, it gets Substitute, it gets Toxic back, which is good to help break those types. But yeah, and it gets some good coverage, and Politoed. Obviously, it's not as amazing as Pelipper, but still a good Pokemon nonetheless. And it'll have to come. So with my last pick, I had obviously Manaphy, not obviously, but Manaphy was 17 points, which gave me, so I had 25 budget, it gave me 8 points for a Terra Captain and a free Terra Captain. So I decided to grab a Swift Swim on, and I grabbed Dreadnought, which I think is going to be ridiculous. I was debating between Floatzel and Dreadnought, but I liked Dreadnought to help out the middling speed tiers, because obviously Politoed doesn't always run on 1 speed, so it was between Mesprit and Magearna, which is quite a drop if you ask me. So I decided to grab Dreadnought. 74 base speed, and it also does get access to Shell Smash. So if I can time it properly. There you go. So it doesn't even have to have Rain to sweep. I can be Shell Smash. I can be Terra Fire for the grass types. I can be Terra Ground. Be Terra Flying. Gets good coverage, and it gets. I can even be Terra Dark Crunch if I really want to without strong draw boost. But yeah, so it gets a lot of good coverage. Which you can see here, Liquidation, Mega Horn, Razor Shell. And it does give me an amazing, and this is free Terra as well, as I mentioned already. So this one is going to be absolutely disgusting with Terra and even without Terra if I want to. But yeah, so that's the team for your Shanghai Dragonites this season of the UCA. But yeah, let me know if you have any comments, anything would you draft differently? How would you have made changes? But yeah, and like and subscribe, of course. I'll always appreciate this. I'm trying to grow this channel a little bit just to have a little bit of fun, and trying to make some more fun draft league content. This is going to be a Wi-Fi league as well, just to change out from the PDD, which was a showdown, which was this is going to be a showdown league, change out from the PDD, which was Wi-Fi. But yeah, so that's all, and so what we're going to say, we're going to Dragon Claw that like button and smash it, and leave any comments down below as always. Until then. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, our week 1 matches will go up on Mondays, so you can expect week 1 to be going up. This is going to be on the 30th, so you can expect week 1 to go up next Monday. But yeah, 1 week from today. So as always, this is Blazeman signing off. Peace.